Yo!
And I feel like so Confident Killing It, speaker, and we also have activists and podcast. First, talk about your podcast a little bit. Like, how did that start?
I mean, the podcast was like something I always kind of thought about because I started off making like quick 1 minute videos on Instagram, but there was always more I had to say. But I know that on Instagram, anything longer than 1 minute, forget about it. Like, you know, I had even tried making like a 3 minute video and then I would look at the analytics and see everybody stopped after 1 minute. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste my precious wisdom for everybody to just stop at 1 minute and not watch the whole video. So I was like, right, no, I'm not really feeling that. And so I asked like people in my community what they wanted more of, and quite a few people started mentioning a podcast. So I had it on my list of things to do from like December, but I was actually quite nervous about it because I was telling myself that I don't have anything podcast worthy to say, so I can't start a podcast. Was I wrong? I was so wrong. But again, that's what your negative thoughts will do. They will sabotage you and stop you from stepping into your greatness. So I put it off, and then I said I would start it at some point this year. And I think with lockdown happening, I just had more time to really think and map things out, and I prayed about it. And then one day, God was just downloading everything to me. It was crazy. It was nothing like I'd ever seen before. I literally just got my journal out and I was just writing, and I was coming up with all these ideas, and then the podcast was born. So that happened in July as well. Yeah.
Same time as us, roughly.
Yeah.
Oh, what, this year, July?
Yeah, this year, July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I've gotten really positive feedback about it. So I'm like, and it's brought me so much new business. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Like, yeah.
It's a business. Need to take picture now.
Nah. Just like people listen to it, they find out I'm a coach, and then they sign up to coaching with me, that sort of thing. So it's actually widened my audience, not just on Instagram. Now people hear about me through the podcast, and then they check out my one-to-one coaching services and things like that.
Yeah, so it's amazing. And as we were saying before, I just feel like there's different avenues to you, different like parts of you, but obviously one of the most important sides is the activism part as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, talk to me about that, or talk to us about that really. Like, how did that start? And what do you activist for as well?
Yeah, so, I first of all called myself like a self-love activist because, and I think activism to me just means standing for something. It just means speaking up about something. And that is actually part of my confidence journey. Okay, if there is something, first of all, I think it's important that people know who you are and what you stand for. Because one, that brings you opportunities. Now, whenever anyone's thinking, oh, we need a confidence person to do this, Tiwa, I'm the first person that comes to their mind. Course. Why? Because I have put it out there that I am somebody who's an expert in this field. So I think being able to stand for something and be known for something is really important. And then I also think that people who want to do good in the world need to be just as loud and strategic as the people pushing for hate and destruction and war and things like that. Look at the way like terrorists plan to do things, right? And like people who are like the Donald Trumps of the world, people pushing hate, they plan all of these things, right? Like racists, they know what they are doing. Then, good people are just like, oh, I need to be humble and not share all the good stuff that I'm doing in the world. And it's like, no, we need to see this good news because the way society is set up, we are constantly bombarded with like negativity. And so I think if you actually want to do something positive in the world, be loud about it. Let people know because we need that. So that's really where the activism came from. I was like, enough is enough. I'm not going to sit back and watch society keep telling women that they are not good enough, they are not worthy enough. I'm going to create a new narrative. So I've always been somebody who stands up for something they believe in. And so naturally, when there's a cause that comes up that I really, really care about, I will make sure that I'm using my voice in a powerful way because that is part of being confident and killing it. You've got to use your voice and speak up and share your story. So yeah.
Okay, because I think that actually kind of adds to like why you're here because you know, I saw your profile and I reached out to you about the whole SARS stuff because I felt like we need to discuss that and have that discussion. And I think someone of your expertise could probably shed a bit more light. Because I read your article, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but she was on Glamour. She had an article. You know,
Why are you blushing? Why are you
I'm
blushing?
not blushing, but just doing your thing. Like, she was on Glamour.
Like, you know what I mean, man? You got, as you said, we can't hide your secret. We got to let everyone know.
Thank you.
And I think that article really explained a lot to what's going on. And I think as a Nigerian from a diaspora, it's like I knew a lot about Nigeria before this was happening on public terms. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? I don't think we need to, I'll let you do the technical aspect of it, but it's like, for me personally, I don't feel like SARS is the problem of Nigeria. That makes sense. For me, I will always say the government. And if you want to deep further, you say the Western world, innit? But there's only so much you can do. But I feel like the government, for me, is the main issue of Nigeria. And I think the reason why I say that is because obviously SARS itself, I feel like SARS are to blame. But SARS also human beings. They need to survive, need to live, need to eat. And when their job, their role doesn't feed them or doesn't give them opportunities to feed their families, unfortunately they look for other ways to finance themselves. I don't know if you saw this. There was a report that said within 18 months SARS had extorted like over $60 million.
And then something billion in Nigeria.
Yeah, like 9.35 billion naira in 18 months just from illegal roadblocks. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, I remember when I was in Nigeria, my pops one time, and then like the guy stopped us, and he's a policeman, and then he came to my window side, innit? Then I was just like, first of all, if you come like, they come with their gun just swinging anyhow, bruv. Like there's a real like AK-47 in your face, bruv, and you're just there looking like, if I talk too much, I'm just die tonight. So then obviously now, I remember I was like, hey, you're right, like a little high five shake. Move your hand, Jerry. Is there money there? I was just like, facts. Now, obviously, I looked at my dad, didn't it? And because for me, I've got a temper kind of thing in it, and it's like I'm not a dickhead. And for me as well, like I thought to myself, like, I know I can't talk back to the police officer, but at the same time, I'll give attitude, innit? But my dad looked at me, and the look he gave me was just, son, hold your lips. That was the look he gave me, kind of thing. And then obviously my dad spoke the broken pigeon, whatever, gave them 200 naira, and we left, innit? And I remember that my dad was telling me, he was like, son, you don't play these police officers because they will waste your life. He was like to me, the bullets that they have, unaccounted for. The guns they have, unaccounted for. If they waste all their bullets today, nobody will ask them, where did your bullets go? And that's the reality of it. And then the thing is, when you look at the police officers as well, it's like they're not doing it. Some of them are become power hungry, but a lot of them is their norm to make money. Their salary is not enough. That extra 200 now they get for every single car becomes 2,000 naira, becomes 5,000 naira. Before you know it, they've added 10,000 a day. Yeah,
but sorry to challenge. Well, I'm not sorry to challenge you, but sorry to interrupt on that. I think that's still a choice they are making.
True, 100%.
Doctors don't get paid well in Nigeria. Do you see them telling their patients, if you don't bring extra money, I'm not gonna they don't kill people on the operating table who have not brought bribe money. So I think it is still a choice. If you are in a job that is not paying you well, you guys should come together and take that to the IGP or whoever, your boss, and say, oh God, please, we need more money. This is not okay. Killing innocent people because your job isn't paying you enough is just pure evil. There's no excuse for that whatsoever. So you might not be making a lot of money, but that is a choice you are making to still extort people, because some of the stories we heard is not small petty cash.
Yeah,
they are taking people to ATMs to clear out their card, max out people's bank accounts. Like, in Nigeria, a lot of people don't put their salary in one account because if the police stop you
Bruh.
and they can clear out your whole bank account, like leave you on zero with no money. So people break up their money so that the police can't just come and take one whole thing. Can you imagine? This is a body of the police force that is meant to protect human beings from robberies and things like that. They are the one running the robberies and the killings.
Yeah.
So it's not an excuse to say, oh, you know, they're not earning enough money. So, you know, okay, yeah, but don't kill somebody else.
Facts.
That it's not their fault.
Can I just say,
you know?
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah,
I
know
was
what you
just giving
mean, I know
some
what you
context for
mean.
some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
like, SARS isn't if the is like a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And SARS comes underneath that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So like,
Please, though, don't come
You
and say
know-
I'm fucking SARS. No.
no. We know hashtag ENDSARS.
Amen.
ENDSARS. So
It's an hashtag,
I think like Nigeria's problem has a lot to do with like greed, corruption, and SARS is just a part of that.
Facts.
My biggest issue, like I know there's corruption everywhere in the world, but at least in the UK, if there's corruption, our basic necessities are still being met.
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
I think someone even said this. I was listening to another podcast. I forgot what it was, and I think someone said the minister from Japan went on a podcast. He basically said he was explaining it with like all different countries. He said every single country is corrupt in the world. He just
Yeah.
like some corrupts more than others.
Yeah.
He said our country we corrupt, but like he was just like we don't do it like on a mad thing where people will start protesting whatever. He was saying most countries in Africa do where they take the majority and probably leave like 20% for the rest of the people.
Even if that.
Yeah,
Even if
maybe
that.
maybe even less even. So he said like if they adapted, they could end up being like countries like ours. You still get a little few people complaining, but like the majority will be satisfied in a sense. But
exactly.
yeah, with Africa, it's greed.
It's
greed.
just
Pure
greed.
greed.
It is just pure greed. And I don't understand it because when you die, you can't take any of these things
Yeah.
with you.
Facts.
So what is it that is really stopping you from knowing that there are how many million people living in poverty and you cannot just do your one job to just give them running water? You can't do that. Instead, you would rather hoard all that money for yourself and spend it traveling around the world or buying this or buying. Like at the end of the day, if
carrying
you die
girls.
tomorrow, what's that gonna do for you? You know? So I just think there's just no empathy, just that lack of like, bro, there are people dying out there and I am hoarding the money that they need to eat. It's just like, it blows my mind.
Right, cool. So for me, I'm not a Nigerian. I'm not from a Nigerian influence or anything like that. But what I was going to ask was, when SARS first started, why did it become a thing just to attack basically the young people? So like with the piercings, with the tattoos, etc., the people that basically dressed well. When did it become like to go?
So it started off in like the 1990s and it was because there was a lot of crime in the city. So they were brought in as a special unit, like to just like make sure there was peace in the city and to catch any kind of robberies and stuff. Initially, it was, oh, my house is getting robbed. Let me call SARS. SARS leaves their base. They come to catch any robbers, to sort anything out, and they go back to their base. They were never meant to just be on the streets all the time.
Okay.
But because another big issue with Nigeria, lack of accountability, there was nobody checking what they were doing. So maybe you have one guy who's ready to go rogue, and he starts going on the streets and comes back and makes 100K from being on the streets. And then everybody else is like, what's he doing? We have to go and join him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next person goes. And then just like through evolution, the whole thing starts to get corrupt.
It's like a snowball.
Yeah, it's like a
That's-
snowball
yeah.
effect, because I watched the guy who actually created SARS. I watched an interview that he was saying like he never intended SARS to turn into this monster. SARS was meant to be there to protect the people, but because nobody was checking, there's no governor or president who is checking like, oh, you killed somebody, we're putting you in jail. Which police officer has been put in jail for killing anybody, right? So when they know, oh, I can get away with killing somebody, nobody's going to call me and say I've done anything wrong. So that lack of accountability led them to start running things on their own term. Now, the thing with the young people is that Nigeria has such an archaic mindset and mentality that the police force, first of all, they don't even own computers. They don't even have proper digital phones, like iPhones and things like that. They write records on pen and paper. Like criminal records are written on pen and paper. So people who don't even have laptops and computers, you now see a young 21-year-old driving a car with a laptop. You automatically think, if me as a big man, I cannot afford laptop, how can you as a small boy be affording laptop? And then all of a sudden it's like, you must be a criminal.
Okay, cool.
Do you get? So it's that
It's very
whole
cultural.
archaic mentality, traditional, like, oh, if you wear a short skirt, you're a prostitute all of a sudden. If you have dreads and jewelry and a gold chain, that means you must be a Yahoo boy, because a respectable gentleman will not be dressing like how you're dressing. So it's all of these traditional norms that are so ancient, and they've not realized that young people have
Adapted
like,
to
you
the
know,
times.
adapted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We live in a digital world. How is a 20-something-year-old with a laptop a scammer? Like, come on.
And I think, do you know what? It just highlights the bigger issue of Nigeria, because, like you said, lack of accountability. It's not there throughout the whole country. How many contracts do they have to build a new road, build a new school?
Yeah.
You go to, like, it's quite common in Nigeria where somebody will get a contract from the government to improve the road on a certain area. He'll collect like 100 billion, whatever, share the money out. 5 years later, that road is still the same. Or even worse, they'll just do 1/4 of the road and leave the rest. And the next term, they'll get another contract for the same road.
Yeah. Like,
same thing.
this is how ridiculous Nigeria is. They said a monkey or a snake.
Yeah, monkey and snake. There's both.
There's both. Monkey and snake swallowed 35 million naira. It was published on the newspaper. A snake swallowed 35 million naira, and nothing happened to the person who was looking after that money, who was meant to allocate it where it went. Nothing happened to it. He said a snake swallowed the money, and that was it.
I don't know if you guys know, but like, do you know the federal account of Nigeria? So basically, like, when Nigeria sells oils, all its stuff, there's an actual account for where it goes to. There are people within Parliament, within the Senate, whatever you want to call it, that have a checkbook access to that account, so they can write an amount on a checkbook and withdraw it. And that's the country's money that people have, like their own money. You know what I'm trying to say? I remember, to add to our point, one time I was in Nigeria. This was back when it was good luck Jennifer, bad luck idiot. But that but basically, it said in the news, it said, I couldn't believe it. It said 330 billion naira is missing from the Federal Reserve account. How do you misplace 330 billion naira? You know, how a billion, no matter what currency it is,
Yeah.
it's still mad.
It's still mad.
330 billion naira missing, like that.
Yeah.
And like, what people in Nigeria are eating less than 20 naira a day. Like, it's crazy. The wealth. There's something you said in your article, which was like, the average person in Nigeria, the average politician, their salary is like 50 GDP. Please say the fact, please, because they're most of them.
So basically, Nigeria is one of the poverty capitals in the world.
Ridiculous,
but our politicians are one of the top paid civil servants in the world.
Is it?
Yeah. More than anywhere in Europe, even more than America. Like, we are one of the highest paying, we pay our politicians and civil servants the highest in the world, but yet we are the poverty capital. So it's like, where do you, like, why are you even earning that much? Their newspaper allowance is something like, I think it was like 2 million naira a month to buy newspapers, something you can read online.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you're saying about them being archaic and old school, and they don't want reform.
And they don't.
And what the issue with this is that what it does, it breeds a culture where everyone wants to do politics. When you go to Nigeria, everyone wants to be a politician. Everyone wants to be an ambassador, a senator, a governor. Like, but you don't even know politics. You don't even know.
Is it for the right reasons as well?
Of course it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's no longer for the right reasons. It's to go in and to make money.
No, can't steal money. That's become the culture of Nigeria now, where like people want to become governors to go and steal money. That's it. No one's going there to make a change. They front as they do, but they don't. Wasn't there the commission that made the Commission of Happiness? Do you remember that?
No.
There was one Senate, I can't remember what state it was. He made his sister the Commissioner of Happiness in his state.
Oh my God.
To God my witness, he made a whole new role for his sister and called it the Commissioner of Happiness.
Yeah, and he can get away with that. So like people just go in and do the wildest things.
Let me find his name.
And get
Let me
away
shame him.
with all of this stuff.
Foolish
And so
man.
I think that's why ENDSARS wasn't just about ENDSARS. ENDSARS was like the first thing that everyone in Nigeria could be united on, because whether you are rich or you are poor, you know, whether you have connects or not, SARS has affected you in a way or one way or the other. Like I have friends who live in a prestigious neighborhood in Lagos, and he got hit in the chest with a gun from SARS. Right? So it's not about, oh, SARS only affects poor people. So in the protests, what we saw were poor people, rich people, whatever you are, everybody was coming together because they were tired. They were tired of just being killed for no reason and being extorted. So this was the first time we've really seen unity like this in our own generation, where no matter where you are, where you come from, everybody was standing in unity that SARS must go. And that was kind of like the first thing. And once we settled on SARS, we were going to start picking at, okay, the politicians, you know, this was the beginning of holding people accountable. And within like maybe 3 or 4 days of the protest, the governor or the president said, yes, SARS is over, don't worry. Like, are we dummies?
Yeah.
Like, how you've said SARS is over
4 times.
Yeah, 4 or 3 times. Yeah. 2017, 2018, 2019, now in 2020. And then you go, we're now going to create a new one called SWAT. And we'll put all the SARS officers in SWAT. Is it not just to change the uniform? Like, you know, that's not going to stop them from killing people. So we didn't back down because we've heard you say all these things before and we weren't going to allow it. So it's just been a really beautiful time for young Nigerians to see everybody just come together like this and really just want change for the country.
Adenuga was basically explaining the Biafran war, basically, and she's saying how it's all divided, and then SARS is the first time she's seen it, where everyone's all united, basically, and like she's saying it was lovely to see.
Yeah.
So I didn't, because I didn't know much about it. I was just like, well, I didn't know what happened in the past, etc. That's why I asked the question about the Biafra war. But yeah, this SARS is serious still.
Do you know what I was gonna say though? I feel like you made a good point about the whole thing about unification, because like even my dad, I'll be real, he's had certain comments and it's just like you can sense that there is not that much unity as a Nigerian. As a Yoruba person, there's unity, but when it comes to like as a Yoruba, Igbo, it's just a bit like, you know what I'm trying to say? But you're right, like this protest really brought everyone together. And I think we mentioned this earlier, what's frustrating is the fact of we have people in power that were in power during the Biafra war kind of thing. They were military men during the Biafra war. Muhammad Buhari was part of the militants during that war, and he's still in power now. We said it before, like power is recycled in Nigeria in a disgusting way. There are people who are 80, for goodness sake, in places of power. There's people who are godfathers, Tinubu or Obasanjo. These are like 80. In the UK, they'll be in retirement home, retired. They're running the bloody country. APC leader is Tinubu.
Yeah,
like,
it's mad.
It's crazy, and it just goes to show. And I think what's more worrying is that going to the killings now, this is not new. Nigeria, unfortunately, has used fear as a tactic for way too long. When it came to before voting, what do they call it? Vote for president, election. Election. Tell me if I'm wrong. Election used to be a dangerous time in Nigeria. You could be killed in Nigeria during election time. Most people didn't vote because they're staying in their house. It's only within the 3, 4, 5 years, it's become safe to actually go and actually go to an election. Using fear has been a tactic of Nigeria, and these old school men are still using it till now. Hence why they thought the best thing to do, go and kill her, they're gonna shoot them. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Literally, like, and no one is standing up to say, like, we're still waiting to hear who ordered the attack. So the protest went on for about 12 days, and then all of a sudden we started seeing people they branded as hoodlums, right, coming out of government buses, with knives and, you know, all of these kinds of things to attack peaceful protesters. So the government buses weren't branded, but we know they are government, like from the number plates and things like that. They were government cars and jeeps and things like that. Now, listen to all of this happening. Okay, so peaceful protests go on for about 10 days. On day 11, all of a sudden, thugs start coming with knives and things to attack peaceful people. Why all of a sudden did they just appear from nowhere and start attacking?
They were hired.
Then the governor of Lagos State overnight declares a curfew. Like, he declared a curfew, a 4 p.m. curfew, and I think at like 12 on the day.
4 hours before.
4
Is
hours,
it?
yeah. Via Twitter. Okay, that's how he announced a curfew to his state. 12 p.m. on the day the curfew was happening, via Twitter. Okay. Now, obviously, on average, it takes about 4 hours to get home in Lagos because the traffic is so bad. So they then are at about maybe 3 p.m. They moved it to 9 p.m. is when the curfew would be. But anyways, people were at the Lekki Tollgate protest ground, and they said, no, yes, we're still protesting. We are still peaceful. We are still unarmed. You've put in a curfew, but our needs have not been met. We are not going anywhere. So even though majority of the people left the protest grounds, there was still a group of people who said, listen, we are not going anywhere. All of a sudden, around 7 p.m., when it gets dark, the military pull up. The street lights all of a sudden go off. When have street lights ever gone off? Like, usually, because it was a toll gate, the street lights of that area are always on.
Yeah.
There's a billboard right above the toll gate that gives that whole street light. The billboard was off. So that's what I'm saying. People who want peace need to be just as strategic as people who want fear and hate and war, because all of that was planned. The thugs were sponsored.
They are.
They were given money by the government. Like, can't prove this 100%, but there's a lot of evidence showing that that was the case. So now everything that's going on in the government is how young people like sabotage the whole city. Because after that killing on the Tuesday of innocent people, a riot actually broke out, like a full-blown riot where they were invading properties, they were burning down buildings, the so-called thugs, right? So now they've branded those thugs as ENDSARS protesters. So now they're blaming what young people fought for peacefully. They are saying it is our fault that we don't have respect for the country. That's why we're doing all of this. No, it wasn't. These are the people you paid to destroy the city. And now you're saying it's ENDSARS people that did that. So manipulative. And
I think, do you know what? It's Fabian. This is the normal tactic in politics of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Every state has its state thugs that they know that are go-to men.
Yeah.
Like in thugs, there's a hierarchy in the thug world that the government is aware about.
Yeah.
That they actually tap into. If they've got, Nigeria's actually jungle justice. Like, it's sad to say, but it's actually jungle justice.
Even during elections, they send thugs to rip up some ballots.
God bless you.
To set fire to some election poll places, to intimidate people from coming to vote so that they can rig that city or that state. Right? So this is what they do. And now the Senate is saying like social media is what has caused all of this, right? Because they just want to control us. And we're not allowing it.
Well, one thing I can say, I think that's the beauty of, it's the sad part of it, but the beauty of it is that social media is now there. Back in the 60s when they were doing this, nobody could report it.
Nobody could report it.
That's why our parents kept quiet.
Yeah.
Whereas now, in 1 second, but hyperconnected will turn up be used. We can see everything in one go. So I feel like, it's like you said before, it's important for us to use our voice as much as we can.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of change, I keep on hearing this aspect. They would say, people keep on saying, do you think someone younger would have to go into that government that knows basically what the situation is, or would you say it's not even that? Like, it's just.
Can I give one thing? What my personal thing is?
Yeah, go for it. I don't really know.
They all need to die. Every single politician in Nigeria that's of that generation needs to just fall down and die. Because 2 reasons. There is no justification for you to go and shoot innocent people and take their lives. The people in power of Nigeria, they are armed robbers, basically. They're military men. All they know is violence. They're not educated like that. They're not bankers. They're not people who know economics. They are just military. All they know is fire and shoot. That's what they know. And that's why they keep resorting back to it. Whether that's because they were taught it because of colonialism, it's another story. But that is what they know. And that's the sad thing. The reason why they need to die as well is that then the politics, the corridor of power in Nigeria is governed by godfathers. You can't turn left without asking somebody to get permission from the right people. We saw it with Good Luck Jonathan. They looted under his nose and he couldn't say a word. He was younger, relatively. He was like in his 40s, 50s. He was educated. He was like the first educated prime minister president we had, I think. Because all of us have been military men. They all need to die, bruv. In my opinion, God forgive me. Like, I don't see what I'm trying to say, but when you go to the extent that you feel the best way to counteract young people who are asking for their rights, you said it yourself that other countries are corrupt, but they're not. They haven't. Their basic rights are still met. Even this country, bruv, even though we hate Boris Johnson and lockdown, whatever, I can still go to school and not pay a single dime until a certain day. There's people that are my dad's age who haven't even got GCSEs, and that's the norm. So there's a lot of passion in what I'm trying to say, but in my opinion, they need to just fall down and die, bruv. And you know what I'm trying to say. And just to lastly say, I think the issue is the mindset of theft and corruption has penetrated some of the younger generation, our generation, and I think that's also a problem. But how we solve that is another question. But yeah.
So like majority of Nigeria's population is under like 35, I think, or 45, something like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen the stat. Yeah.
So we are a youthful nation.
I think in the whole of Africa, you're the most youthful one. I think.
Okay.
I think I heard the numbers.
I mean, I won't be surprised. We're definitely one of the most populous countries.
Never carry last.
So we have a lot of young people, but our country is run by the 5%. So in terms of not 5% in terms of wealth, 5% in terms of age. Right, like 80, like people who are 70, 80, they don't make up majority of the population. So what we actually need is somebody who understands how times are changing and understands the way young people are thinking and what they need. Buhari set up a youth empowerment fund with Okadas and like motorbikes, basically, to train them to become young people, to become drivers or motorbike. Like, that's not where young people want to go. Give them laptops, give them internet access. They want to be tech entrepreneurs. They want to go online and create stuff and sell stuff. But when you have a government that doesn't understand the way the world is changing and the needs of its people, that's where you get the tension. So, I mean, another thing with Nigeria, like what you were saying about the Godfathers, is like all the people in power now, they already have younger people that they've been grooming, so that when they step down, they are placing their boy there. And their boy is going to answer to them and still deliver the money that they need to run whatever they want to run. So it's a really tricky situation. It's not just about, getting young people in power. If the young people are associated with the old people, nothing is going to change, you know? So I think, we just kind of need the people who want to do good things. So, for example, in these ENDSARS protests, we basically created a new Nigeria in the space of 2 weeks. Lawyers set up a nationwide network where they could bail people out that were arrested wrongly. Nigeria has never had anything like that before. All of a sudden, we have a nationwide ambulance service that can be going all to the different states, all connected, helping people. Nigeria has never had that before. At the protest ground, there was food for people. They could charge their phones. There was like people were donating nonstop. So, and mind you, women were the one building all of that. So we have never seen, just gonna put that out there. Shout out to Feminist Co, right? They were the ones leading this new Nigeria through the protest, like what we basically created. They set up a call center where it's press 1 for healthcare, mental health, press 2 for emergency, press 3 for security. Nigeria does not have a nationwide helpline. So all of these things were set up in the space of less than 2 weeks. So we know it is possible. So what I'm saying is the people who want to do good, who have this mindset, need to be the ones to get in power. Whether you're young or you're old, it's more about who wants to help change and how can we reclaim our country back.
Yeah, and I think, on that note as well, what would your advice be to like people who want it from the diaspora, who want to get involved and who want to help? How can they help?
I think speaking up about stuff is really important. Like in the president's speech when he was addressing the country after the shooting at Lekki Tollgate, he mentioned, to our international friends and abroad, we ask that you basically mind your business. And, so Nigerian politicians hate international disgrace. So one thing we can be doing in the diaspora is amplifying the voices of people back home. You know, the protests stopped in Nigeria, but people have still been protesting all around the world in different countries. That's amazing.
I got a question in regards to related to that. In terms of like influence, so I think I'll give an example in America. I think Beyonce was at one point targeted a lot when she didn't post anything to do with Nigeria, but then she made a whole album of Nigerian artists. Do you think like more people from different countries need to speak up, or do you not think that's not? It just could be the normal average person that's mostly.
No, it needs to speak up. So like, ENDSARS was happening for, like I was saying, 12 days before that big shooting at Lekki. But it was only at the shooting at Lekki that the whole world started tweeting and posting pictures and things like that. We had been protesting for a whole week and a half before. So if people had actually supported us from day one, who knows, maybe Lekki might not have happened. Like, who knows how things would have ended up. Do you get? But they only started talking about it when the craziest atrocity happened. So I think it's so important for people who have a platform and influence to use that influence for good. Now, do I think every single celebrity should speak about everything going on in the world? No, because nobody has the bandwidth for that. Even I don't talk about all the other things happening all around the world, right? But I think if you have a connection to a place, like in the Beyonce situation, she made a whole Black is King, shot in different countries in Africa, had so many Nigerians working on her team. That's why I think her own was a bit more painful, because this same year, you are literally creating a documentary about Africa's richness and, you know, all of these things. But then when Nigeria, one of the biggest countries in Africa, really needs your help the most to amplify the message, you are quiet. Now, it was only when celebrities started tweeting about it that the news started picking it up. We know how the news works. Come on. If Beyonce tweets something, they will make that the headline because it's Beyonce, and they know people are going to click because of Beyonce. So I'm not saying we should treat celebrities like gods and they are the ones who are going to fix all our problems. Absolutely not. But we know how the system works. If Beyonce talks about something, immediately it is going to send millions of people to go and find out what she's talking about. It is going to make the headlines. So I think if you are a celebrity and you're connected with the country in a way, or you just genuinely care about the place, you should use your platform to amplify the voices of those who cannot speak. So yeah,
I remember you saying something as well about so you said talk about it more, spread the awareness. I've been in your article, you mentioned about research as well. So is that like do the research, but don't stay stuck in, oh, I'm researching for 10 weeks. Like, no, you know, read the articles, do the research, like understand what the problem is, and then get about speaking about it and sharing articles with people and things like that. You know, you don't have to be Nigerian to talk about these things. And also, a lot of what I said was, this is not just about Nigeria. This is about young people coming together to stand up for what they believe in, to speak up, to use their voice in a powerful way. This is about young people all over the world. Like I said, Nigeria is just setting the example. Once Nigeria wakes up, the rest of Africa wakes up. Amen.
So many young people in Africa were inspired by what us young Nigerians did around ENDSARS, you know? So it goes back to it. If young people in Nigeria can shout out about ENDSARS, then all of a sudden young people in Angola are like, wow, guys, they did it. Maybe we can do it too. Then in South Africa, they're doing the same. And then before you know it, there's change happening on the continent. So it's so important to like have that unity and to speak up and to use your platform, because it sets such a good example for generations to come.
That's actually just there's so much to unpack. I feel like we can be here for another like 5 hours. I'm trying to say can you shout out that show you told me about, a Netflix show? That's a really good one, isn't it?
The Journey of an African Colony. So it's a really, really good documentary on Netflix. And it'll give you the history of how Nigeria was actually created, and also like a bit of history on colonialism. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it was called like the African Conference, where all the heads of Europe were at a meeting in Brussels. And they took the map of Africa and they said, you take this country, you take that country, we'll take this, in Belgium, right? And that's literally how they divided it up, because they didn't want to start fighting against each other. Now, guess what? No head of an African country was at that meeting. It was all the colonialist leaders dividing up the countries to say, oh, I want this resource, I want that resource, and dive in. So and these were the people who taught the Obasanjos, the Buharis how to lead. Right? These are the people. So this is what they've learned it from colonialism, and this same mindset is passed down from generation to generation to generation. So what we need is a complete overhaul of this sort of thinking where there's no accountability and none of that. Like we said, there's corruption everywhere, but in the UK, you can't try this rubbish because you will lose your seat or you will go to jail.
That's true. Do you know what? And I just think on that note, there's because of time, but I remember I want to say that on that point, Africa is not Africa by choice. We didn't say this is Nigeria, this is Zimbabwe, this is this. There's a reason why if you go to any country in Africa, there's so many tribes in one country. It's ridiculous. Because what they done, the colonial masters literally separately made you Nigeria, make you Somalia, make you here. And so there's so much civil and conflict kind of thing.
It was strategic because how do you take over a country? You have to divide the people. You have to divide the people. So what did they do? You come into a place like Nigeria, okay, you realize Igbo people were actually really, really smart. They were the ones who were university lecturers. They were the intelligent people, tribe in Nigeria. Hausas were good for something else. Yorubas were good for something else. So what did they do? They separate everybody and then they put one group in power, and then they turn the other group against the group in power. That's how you divide a country. And so they start fighting each other. And once people start fighting each other, there's no leader, then you have to come in and say, I'm your savior. And that's exactly what happened with ENDSARS. Yeah. They sent the thugs so that there could be violence. And once there was violence, they said, no. We have to come in and enforce peace. Yeah. And enforce peace was killing people and taking charge of the whole place.
Yeah. Nah.
It's
crazy.
A lot. But and like history is not even taught in Nigerian schools. The first time I heard about the Biafran War was like, I don't even know, but like when I really understood it was Half of a Yellow Sun.
Is that a book or something?
Yeah, it was a book. It started off as a book and a film. Is it Chimamanda? No, I think so. Yeah, no, it's not Netflix. It's a book, and then they made the film, but they didn't even allow that film to be played in Nigeria. Yeah, a film about the Nigerian Civil War. They didn't even allow it to be played. Also, guess who gave me this book, Half of a Yellow Sun? My white friend in school when I came to school in England. So I grew up in Nigeria till I was 15, and then I moved to England. And it was one of my white friends in school said, have you read this book about the Nigerian Civil War?
It's actually a big film. It's got John Boyega in it.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's on Netflix.
No, it's on Amazon Prime still.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, fam. They got this guy. I don't know his name. This guy is big actor.
Oh, mad.
Yeah, he's in it.
Tiwa.
Yeah, Tiwa. I went back myself. But
yeah. That's how I learned about this book and the story. You know, all I heard was, there was a civil war in Nigeria.
Yeah,
full stop.
That's it.
But this was where I actually learned about how it was. And it was a British friend that introduced me to my history as a Nigerian. Crazy. Yeah. So they do all of this intentionally. You block out their history. Same thing colonialists did. Yeah. You destroy their history so they don't know where they're from. They don't know what's happened in the past. So they can't fight back. So everything seems new and they can't fight back, and then you divide the people. Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like I said before, there's so much we can talk about again. And maybe you have to come back as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but like to wrap up the episode kind of thing, it's been your boy Sam.
It's your guy Hobz.
Yeah. It's your girl Tiwa.
Yeah, so guys, subscribe, let us know what you think, comment, and yeah.
It's been a crazy one.
It's been a crazy one, educational one, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Peace.